Hey there, Joe Gilder here from HomeStudioCorner.com. Today let's talk about automation. Automation can be a little overwhelming, and it may be something you've never even heard of, but it's a very useful tool for mixing, and it's something I can't believe I've not done a video on in the past. If you've taken any of my classes, you've seen me do automation and explain it, but I've never explained it here on YouTube, so let's check it out so you can understand automation and see if it makes sense for your mixes. First off, why do we use automation? Well, essentially, automation was an amazing breakthrough back in the analog days when you had just a console that just had static volumes. When automation came out, suddenly there were these computers and little motors on each fader, and so you could adjust the volume of a particular track over the course of the mix. That was huge because sometimes you want the lead vocal to be really loud, sometimes you want to bring it back, sometimes you want to bring in different elements of the mix just for a brief moment and then take them back out. Before automation, you just couldn't do that. Now, with digital recording, things like Pro Tools, automation is a breeze and doesn't require any extra hardware. It's just built into the recording software, just like any recording software out there. So the reason we automate is so we can adjust the volume automatically without having to do it manually. So instead of this song mixing down and I'm over here riding the fader up and down every time it goes through, I can ride the fader once and it remembers that and plays it back every time. So let me just show you real quickly here. We'll switch to touch automation. This is just an empty section of the song. If I hit play and I've got this fader pulled up, I can pull it down, I can move it up, I can wiggle it around, I can drop it way down, bring it way up, and then bring it back to where it was. And that's automation. You saw the little red line show up. Now, if I hit play from right here, watch this fader. Now it's going to jump all over the place. It does exactly what I did, and now it's going to do that over and over and over unless I change it. So I'm going to delete that because I don't need that to be there. So let me show you how I use automation on this vocal track. There are 3 types of automation. And as you can see, I just did a little bit of automation here and there. First, you can come in and you can actually draw automation, which is what I did on this song. There were certain sections. This section of the song, her voice needed to be a little quieter. The rest, this section, it needed to be a little louder, as you can see for the volume line here. And then this section needed to be the loudest. And then even within that section, I had a few boosts here and here, as you can see. That was all done essentially just coming in here and drawing the automation points. I come in, I click here to create a point, I click here to create a new point, and then I move them around. And that's essentially it. However, it can be more sophisticated and pretty than that, and sometimes you may want to do it by just drawing it, and sometimes you may want to do it the more accepted way, I guess is a good way to put it. So let me go over real quickly the 3 automation modes. We'll start, we'll listen to this first line of this vocal as we work on it. The first mode we want to talk about is write. This is the very basics of automation. This essentially means when I put this track into write mode, you'll see auto there for automation, whenever I hit play, not record, when I just start playback, it's going to start writing automation. Watch when I hit play, the line here is going to change colors to red as soon as I hit play.
This is my life as a king.
So that red line means it was recording new automation. If I move the fader during that period, it's going to record that automation.
This is my life as a king. I have utterly every...
Okay, so all that automation is there. That's not how I would automate a vocal, but for example, on this one, I would bring up the level of the quieter parts if I couldn't hear them in the mix.
This is my life as a king.
That's exaggerated, but that's something I would do. So you'll notice when I let go of the fader, the volume stayed at that spot because it's constantly writing automation. And when I stopped playback, it jumped back to wherever it was. So if I played through the entire song, the entire thing would be a recorded automation pass, which is recording wherever that fader is. So that's write automation. I rarely use write. Latch automation, on the other hand, is kind of helpful. Latch essentially lets you write automation the same way as write does, but then when you let go, it stays in one spot until you stop playback. So it's kind of the same as write, except it doesn't start writing automation until you touch the fader. So watch this. I'm going to hit play.
I have utterly everything.
And you'll notice no automation is being written yet. So let's say I like the automation I did there, but I want to bring this section down. I can go ahead and start playback in latch mode, and it's not going to do anything until I touch the fader.
Life as a king. I have
So then I brought that down. Now the word latch means that it stays in the same spot once you move it. So let's show you here.
The king.
I pull the fader down, and if I let go, I'm not touching the fader. It's going to stay at that volume until I touch it again or if I stop playback. And you'll notice it jumped up right there. So that's latch. Sometimes it's called touch latch because it doesn't start until you touch it. The third type of automation, and probably the one I use the most, is touch. Now here, whenever I let go of the fader, it jumps back to wherever the automation is on that track. So watch here as I move it.
This is my life as a king. I have everything I could feel.
I can move the fader as much as I want, and when I let go, it transitions back to where the previous automation run is. So the way I'll use this is, let's say I know this section I want to be at this volume, but there are certain little phrases that I want to bump up. I'll use touch, for example, right here.
And all my guards, they protect me. And my wife is dressed in rubies.
And that first one I didn't like very much. I'll just go back and do it again.
And all my guards, they protect me. And my wife.
And every time I just let go right here, and it slowly faded back to where the volume should be. So touch is really helpful. So hopefully that gives you some ideas of what automation is and the different modes that you have available to you. I personally use touch probably more than anything, but figure out what works well for you and your workflow. Again, I'm Joe with HomeStudioCorner.com. If you want more training on mixing and see how I mix my album, check out mixwithus.com. Thanks again. See you soon.